So if you are going to be attempting this transmission rebuild or refresh, you are going to need the following things: a flathead screwdriver, specifically a long one, a short extension for your ratchet, a long extension for your ratchet, preferably with a grip on it because you're going to need that, a ratchet obviously, an 8mm socket because that's the size of basically every single bolt in this transmission. You're also going to need either a razor blade or a scraper of some kind to remove the old gasket adhesive. And those are the overall tools that you will need. Now you're also going to need a jack stand and a jack to lift the car up, unless you plan on squeezing underneath it, which I weigh 145 pounds and I can't even do that, so good luck to you. But these are the actual tools that you will need. This is it. No fancy crazy special tools, just this. But now what we're going to do is get into the actual rebuild. Here's the products we're going to be using. Motorcraft Mercon LV. That's just required. You have to use actual Motorcraft transmission fluid in these focuses, foci, whatever. If you don't, do at your own risk, basically. This is a filter. Here are the solenoids themselves. This is the C solenoid. This is the D solenoid. And these little baby ones are the A and the B ones. There's the pan gasket. Make sure the filter has the O-ring, which it does. You're also going to need some high temp RTV gasket maker just to stick this down when you scrape all the old junk off. And you're going to obviously need a scraper. And the first thing you got to do is go up underneath there and check out the pan. There is no drain plug, unfortunately. Thank you, Ford. So you have to remove approximately 20 8mm bolts all the way around the perimeter of the oil pan. That'll be the first thing we do. All right, the bolts are all out. I guess there really was 20 of them. They're in that Slurpee cup over yonder. Now what we're gonna do is put a oil pan down. And what I did is I didn't take all of the bolts out. I left a few on the edge here. That way when I gently pry, right, since there's no oil drain pan, it's all gonna start pouring into the drain pan once I pry from this side. So don't just take all the bolts out and pry the pan off or you're gonna have a huge mess. Not 100% what I was aiming for, but you get the idea. You know, it's not spraying everywhere, it's going in the freaking pan for once. All I did was just slightly tap it with a screwdriver on the side and it started leaking. Hopefully this pan is big enough to catch all of this fluid. Otherwise we're in a whole mess of trouble. Get it? Mess? Anyway, so once that all drains out, I can actually take those final bolts out and pull the whole pan off. And we can see the delicious innards. Alrighty, there's the pan. Or as my friend would say, the pan. And up underneath here. Alright, ready? This is your line pressure control solenoid. This is your A solenoid, B solenoid, and then, ready? C, D, and E solenoids. So they're kind of in order, which is nice, and I want to give a shout out to Ford Tech Make You Loco, if you've ever seen that channel, because he gave an accurate representation of where they are located. Without him, I would not have been able to find it. So thank you for that. Now on to the actual removal of the solenoids. Now we take the same 8mm ratchet and we take this bolt off and this bolt off. You can see I've already loosened them and they'll begin to wiggle once you do that. These are the A and B transmission solenoids. There's one of the little bolts. So once you get those two off, you can then pull these two wires off and remove the solenoids. See, those screws are out now, or bolts I should say. And you take these and you just gently unclip them like that. I've already pre-unclipped these. That's why they're so easy. Yours may differ. Don't mix those up if you can help it. I'm also going to take a flathead screwdriver. I'm going to see if I can pull this one out just for reference. There you go. You can choose to use an oil pan or, like me, put cardboard down. That way you do not harm Mother Earth. So that seemed pretty easy. Now on to the next one. There's one of the solenoids in. I'll show you how easy it is to put one in. You just push it gently, wiggle it a little bit left and right so you don't damage the seal. And that's it. See how the other one went in? Really simple. Here's the other side of the solenoids. Remember what I said? You're gonna have C, D, and E. So we need to remove C and D. To do that, you have to take one more 8mm bolt out right here, one more right here, one more right here, and one more right here. So 4 8mm bolts total, and this little bracket thing will slide out. That way you can pull these solenoids out. Now that the bolts are off, I'll show you what I'm talking about. See this? That's the bracket that holds the solenoids on. And I've already unplugged these. That should be pretty straightforward. I mean, if you can't unplug something, you probably shouldn't be working on the car. And you grab these and you twist them. Like so. Takes a little bit of wiggling to get them out, but they will come out. See, that solenoid came out rather easy. Like I said, you take and you turn it. You turn this one in, and you turn this one in. And you take a little tiny flathead screwdriver, and you just gently pry up and let it spray all over your arm into your cut that's bleeding and it hurts, but that's okay. See? Now the other solenoid is out. So now both solenoids are out. Look at the mess I'm making. At least I'm being good about not getting it on the actual dirt, just on the cardboard. You will need a giant pan for this if you're not going to use cardboard, because there is shit everywhere. All you do to get the filter out, you just grab a hold of it, turn it a little bit and pull down. It's gonna spray a bunch of fluid. Look at that. I mean, a bunch of fluid on you. So careful. Here's the new one. Again, it goes in the exact same way, just right up in there. That's all you gotta do. Took a fraction of a second just to smack the filter back in there. There's a little peg right here you have to be mindful of. And also remember to put the sensor back on here, on the actual filter. And now we're gonna move to scraping the gasket off of the old block. I should say the block, not the old block. The old pan has already been cleaned. That sounds like a derogative name for an old person. Get out of here, you old pan. But anyway, now we're gonna start the scraping. There's the seal. Make sure the bolt holes line up perfectly on every single hole, because that's gonna be an absolute bitch to put on if it's not. Make sure the side that says, whatever the fuck that says, trans pack or something pack, whatever, pack. Make sure the side with the text faces up. Put a little bit of this stuff underneath it to keep it adhered. Put a little bit more on this side, just a little bit, and then stick it up in there. Make sure, like I did, that you clean the mounting surface first. I still got to take a little bit off before I do anything, and also make sure if you have little leaks like that, clean it up before you attach the pan. There's our pan. I decided not to actually clean this part of the pan, just the actual area around where it seals. I did go a little overboard with the RTV, but you kind of have to on some of these. You don't want any leaks. That's nothing more discouraging than putting a transmission back together and it leaking. A Pontiac vibe. Yeah, you can guess what happened over there. Anyway, so now that we've got the gasket on and the sealant, we're going to want to let it sit for a day. Full 24 hours before we actually pour any fluid in. I'm sure you're asking, what are you talking about? They don't do it at shops like that. No, they don't, but it's a good little bit of protection for you. You know, you say you do this work and then you put the transmission fluid in and it all comes flying out. Wouldn't you feel pretty pissed? I know I would. So we're just going to go ahead and give it the old 24 hours to cure. And tomorrow we'll come back and pour the Mercon in. Alrighty, now that we've let the pan seal overnight, we can go ahead and add the new fluid in. This is why I used the fluid that I used. It says use Mercon LV. Here we have Mercon LV. Perfect. You're probably going to use all of it. What came out was just about 5 quarts, and there should be just about 5 quarts in here. So we're going to take this, our long skinny funnel, and we're going to remove the fluid dipstick, like so. Look at the size of that. Jeez. Anyway, now that we've removed that, put it over there, we can take this funnel, put it down inside the transmission dipstick, and begin filling. This is a long process. So while you're doing that, check underneath for leaks the entire time. So we got the focus running, and now it's time to put the car into gear. It already feels way smoother. Like when you put it into gear now, it just glides. Before it would be like boom, and you get you get your teeth knocked out basically. But I'm gonna be doing this for a while, just clicking through all the gears, moving the car slowly forward and backward a little bit to get all the pressure built up and the fluid circulating, everything like that. So I'll come back when I'm done doing that. One thing I do want to make note of is when you do go to check the transmission fluid, make sure that the vehicle is running and in park. You have to drive it around, warm it up first, and then check the transmission fluid with the vehicle running. I'm not doing that right now, obviously, because it would be too loud and you couldn't hear me. But when you do go to check the fluid, that's how you do it. You pull the stick, you wipe it off, put it back in, and check the level. Now, it should be, because I just ran this car. See that? It's perfectly at the level where it should be. It's been about 5 minutes and I've just been, again, meshing through all the gears. We're gonna go check for leaks now. You really, honestly, you'd have smelt it by this point if there was any leaks. Nope, we have no leaks. Pretty typical Ford Focus engine roll. But they all kind of do that. Yeah, it sounds actually really healthy for 215,000 miles. I can't complain. I always wonder how you get a chunk of a hubcap missing. Like, where does the chunk go? Anywho. So we'll do it a couple more times. We'll just put it straight into low. Put it into drive. Neutral. Reverse. And prac. Jurassic prac. Alright. So that looks like we're gonna do it. It looks like everything's going good. The maintenance warning light reset itself for some reason or another. And I'm gonna have to reset the check engine code and figure out what's going on with this airbag light, which I believe is actually caused by this belt buckle being broken. See how it gets stuck down in the down position? I think it has something to do with this. But that'll teach you how to rebuild, or at least refurbish, the solenoids on a Ford Focus 2008 to 2011. You can do it at home. It's not a killer. It's pretty easy actually. Total investment was probably about 110 bucks. And you got your car working again. Don't pay a shop $500, $600, $700 to do this when you could do it yourself. All right, I just got back from a test drive, and guess what? It shifts all right. It shifts pretty good. I'm not gonna say it shifts great, but it's way better than not shifting at all. There was a little icon down there that looked like a picture of a wrench. If that comes on your Ford Focus, it means the transmission is about to take a shit. That or it already did. So, that light is gone now. I didn't even have to get rid of it. It just went away on its own. I did have to clear the check engine light of the solenoid codes, and once I did, they did not come back. It actually shifts pretty good through all the gears now, so I'm pretty happy about that. So that is how you, yourself at home, in your own driveway, can change the solenoids and rebuild the transmission on your Ford Focus. Now, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret, okay? We gotta make sure nobody's watching though. Don't buy a Ford Focus in the first place. They're garbage. But, you know, in a situation like this where time has come to change it, that's what you do. Thanks for watching.